What's going on, guys? Billy Lawson from Your Lake Fork Guide out here today with 6 Cents Fishing. We're going to take you out for a day on the water. We're in East Texas. We're chasing giant bass in the pre-spawn. We're going to be fishing extremely shallow using reaction baits, power fishing baits from 6 Cents Fishing, looking for giant bites. We're going to break down every detail of what we do, tell you exactly what we're thinking, how we're locating these fish in these changing conditions. They're moving from pre-spawn to spawn. We're going to break down all the details of what we're thinking as we go along, so y'all come along with us. Let's go catch some giant bass in the pre-spawn. Huh? That's a pre-spawn fish there, Louise. I hope y'all are having about half as much fun watching this as I am making it. Come on, Megan. Be sitting around one of these logs. React to this little crankbait one time. What is that? There's one. Good one, good one, good one. He's just got one little old hook. One little old hook. Come here, baby. Come here, baby. Don't do that. Don't do that right at the boat. Come here. Huh? That's a pre-spawn fish there, Luis. Thought he was. So like we talked about in the intro, guys, these fish are going to be extremely shallow right now with a warming trend towards the end of the pre-spawn. They're about to start spawning. You can tell, look how pregnant that fish is right there. That's that's about a 6-pounder, man. Really good fish. First bite of the day, get this bait untangled. I'll show you all this bait because, tell you what, let's let this fish go. See, it's the top secret. 6 Cents Fishing page, y'all may not know this if you don't watch Your Lake Fork Guide, but if you scratch them right behind the ears, they like that. They come back and see you. That's a beautiful fish. Beautiful pre-spawn bass out here in East Texas. Let's let her go, and we'll go try to catch another one. I'll talk to you about how we caught her here in just a second. There she goes. There she goes. Okay, so like we talked about, these fish are getting extremely shallow. We're on a warming trend. What that means is that the shallowest water is going to warm first. Like the bigger expanse you have, 1 to 2 foot of water, is going to warm first. And right now, you can see out behind me, that's the kind of the main lake goes out that way. But if you were to pan around and look to the side, man, there is this huge flat where it's all like 0 to maybe 2 foot of water tops. That's going to be the water that's going to tend to warm earliest. That also limits the kind of baits you can fish because you don't have very much water column. Like you can't fish a regular square bill. It's kind of hard to fish a chatterbait at times. It's a spinnerbait can dig down too deep if you got the wrong spinnerbait. Like it really limits the options of what you can fish. But one thing that's great for this, my favorite bait for these big pre-spawn bass is the Movement 80X. It's a big crankbait. I'm shaking. It's got a super wide bill, and what that does is allows it to deflect off hard cover very well. If you look behind me, see that stick right there? Got that bait right next to that stick, bounced it off, and that fish just loaded up on it, stuck it. The Movement 80X, guys, if you're not fishing this bait, especially when there's big bass shallow, you're making a mistake, dude. This is my favorite pre-spawn bait right here. Dude, I got excited about that one. Like I started losing my breath and hands are shaking a little bit.
Seen the belly on it, look, the thick one.
That's the first fish I caught on one. Yeah, first fish I caught on the USA rods. I liked it. It was I'm learning the powers of them, you know, because they're all a little different, but it was a little strong for that crankbait. I was worried I was going to lose that fish when I saw that one hook because that rod's a little too big for that crankbait. But I kind of figured, I mean, it's supposed to be. It's like a freaking 7.4 heavy, so just trying to learn the feel for it. But it felt good. I mean, I can feel stuff with it. It's got good sensitivity for sure, and the rod's strong. Like I had complete control of that fish the whole time. So a lot of power, a lot of sensitivity. That's really all you can ask for. It's made in America, right? Like it's hard to find like a rod where the blank and everything's actually legitimately made in America. That's a cool deal. There we go. Ready?
Yep.
That's another big one. Not as big, pretty good. Another very lethargic bite. Another very lethargic bite right here, guys. Good fish. Definitely got to give this one an ear scratch. We want him to come back and see us when he gets a little bigger. You know what I mean? Little ear scratch right there. Yeah, boy. Pretty fish right there. Solid little young chunk. Another very reluctant bite. You know, these fish are biting very, very lethargic. The fish are biting very lethargic right now, so we actually made a little decision change. You know, like I said, we had this cold night, so I'm thinking some of these fish may still be pulled out because we fished a lot of shallow water, only got the one bite. Granted, it was a great bite, a big bite, and I really think that we'll end up back in that shallow water by the end of the day as it continues to warm up. But for right now, we pulled out to kind of a mouth of a creek, main lake type of creek channel. It's got some brush on it, and just soaked the jig in there for a while. Sure enough, that old black and blue jig paid off. So I'm thinking some of those cold nights has pulled some of these fish back into these channels. So kind of got a situation right now where they might be spread out a little bit. They're not all doing the same thing, and we're having to kind of hunt and peck and work really hard for bites. But as you see, the bites we're getting are really good quality bites. So you know, it doesn't take very many to build a big bag of fish when you catch them like those. So we'll keep plugging away. Are they all right?
Fucking old apartment complex. Just trying to hit us with some bullshit keys.
Ran right at me. Whew, I bet that did hurt. There you go. Third little one of the day. Little baby fish right there, man. We're just kind of, they're confusing us at the moment, folks. They're confusing us. We are literally scrapping everything, trying a little bit of everything, and running bank at this point. And you know, sometimes that can happen on transition days. You can lose fish, man. They go to moving, it becomes easy to kind of lose them, and they've obviously scattered out 3 different bites on 3 completely different baits, 3 completely different types of areas. So these fish are scattered and they're moving, getting ready, about ready to do their start spawning here in the next week or so. So we're just gonna have to keep trolling motor going, chunking and winding and covering water, and do the best we can at this point. It's kind of how I'm feeling. Choked. With a little male pulling up, getting ready to do his thing. All right. 4th one of the day. Another little male. Just a little male run up down this bank right here. They're, like I said, they're getting ready to spawn. So just a little old buck bass. Did you see that? He ran all the way there. Oh, that fish is fired up. Look at here. Giant. I mean, that's a whopper. Folks, there's only one proper way to release them when they're that size. I hope y'all are having about half as much fun watching this as I am making it. Well, guys, unfortunately, this day was brought to somewhat of a screeching halt. It was a warming trend. You saw me in flip-flops and shorts, and it felt great outside. Your boy here struggles with springtime allergies, as I'm sure many of y'all do. I have an extreme case of them at times. And these early ones usually are the ones that give me the worst. And it got me that day. It got to a point, you could hear some of the sniffles, but it got to a point where I couldn't stop sneezing. I couldn't speak a sentence without sneezing and sniffling, and it just got horrible. I could not complete the day. My eyes were itching to the point where I couldn't hardly see. We had to call the day a little bit early. I was disappointed because I wanted to fish all the way through the afternoon because I felt like it would have got better as the day continued to move on. That was one of those days, though, as I look back on it, a few days later now, look back on it, we have these days in the springtime, or well, the early part of the springtime, late winter, early spring, whatever you want to call it, pre-spawn to spawn, when they're transitioning like they kind of are right now. It's like the lull before the storm. They get on that pre-spawn feed in January throughout February, and that can go up and down depending on the frontal systems and whatnot. But then there comes this time where they're not quite on beds yet, but they're not quite doing the pre-spawn anymore, and they get in this little brief window, usually only about a week long at most, sometimes a little bit longer, usually about a week long at most, usually just a few days, really. There's this little calm where, man, it gets hard to get a bite. And the bites you do get are funky and weird, and you got a junk fish, and that's kind of what happened to us today. We had to scrap the original game plan of pre-spawn, warming trend, shallow flats, crankbaits, power fishing. That's what we wanted to do. Got one big bite doing that, and then nothing. Pulled out, caught one on a staging area on a creek channel bend with brush on it, then nothing. Caught 2 or 3 more little ones on the bank, just whining a chatterbait down the bank, and it was just junk fishing. It was scattered out. The bites we got were very lethargic, very soft, and overall just a tough day in general. Now, I did have hopes that we were going to continue to improve as the day went on, and we'd get on a little flurry where, especially with that early big bite, that second solid bite, if we'd have got just 3 more quality bites, we'd have had a really good best 5 bag kind of day, a very respectable day that anybody would be happy with when they went to the lake. And I felt like that was coming. I just could not continue that shoot on that day, which was a shame, and I apologize to you guys for that. As medicated as I can be now, that was the first day that kind of got me bad, and I medicated myself that night, and I've been medicating every day since then. So I'm going to try to stay on top of that so that mistake doesn't happen again for you guys. But what's ironic about that is it's actually about a week after we shot that video now, and since then I have bed fished. I bed fished today, although it was cold. The good thing is right before today, another big warming trend, we actually got plenty of fish, a good amount of fish on beds now. And I'm recording this the same day that we're airing this video. So this is current as it gets. Today, the day that this video came out, I bed fished most of the day today. That being said, you guys know we got cold front that just blew in. It's going to get colder tomorrow and stay cold the next day. Then this weekend we got another hard cold front coming in behind that. It's going to get even colder. So that is going to pull some of these fish off beds. It's certainly going to deter the spawning activity and push it back a little bit further. We're going to go back into this little lull probably at the end of the week, and going in the first part next week, we're going to be maybe in that little lull. Then as it warms back up next week, hopefully over spring break for most of us around here, we're going to get back into a warming trend, and then those fish will jump right back on beds. But we have gotten through that little lull already within a week, and we had a great day of bed fishing. They caught a ton of fish, sight fishing today. Just had an absolute blast. In fact, you know what we can do right now? Since we are recording this on the day, we can show y'all a little something. Show y'all a few pictures from my customer today. There's one. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. And we could keep going. Also here, I'll show you guys this video. It's pretty cool.
What you got? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, golly, tub. Daggone tub. Oh, fatty. Atta boy. Let me see that stroker crawl. Folks, y'all know what the bed fish with? This is the stroker crawl for 6-inch fishing. And this is the 3rd straight year for that fish. It's called every one of these bed fish that we're catching comes on that stroker crawl. That is beautiful. That's what a bass is supposed to look like, by God. Look at that. Hell yeah.
That was about our, I don't know, 10th or 12th or 15th or however many bed fish we caught today. It was a really good time. So we've already had some of that spawning activity, as you guys can see. That was just from today. And then we are going to hit another little cold trend and maybe a lull for a little bit, and then we'll be right back on the spawning deal. And the spawning deal is about to kick off in a big way. I would really look for about March 20th. Today is March, let's see, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. So by March 20th, so about 2 weeks from today, it's really going to go down. We're going to have a full moon right before that. By March 19, 20, temperature should be plenty raised enough to have all these fish wanting to spawn, and fish should really start spawning in the majority of these lakes all across the lakes. So it's coming. It's here. It's upon us. Start looking for it now, guys. Anyways, man, try to give you guys as much information as we could in this video. Really try to be informative in this one. Big shout out to my guy Luis from 6 Cents Fishing for coming up and filming that for me. We should have, somewhere in the near future, a couple of instructional, informational videos, little short videos coming out on the 6 Cents Fishing page as well. Be sure you go subscribe to the 6 Cents Fishing YouTube page. I've already done a couple of videos for them in the past, as well as some other great fishermen like Lee Livesey, like Jack York, plenty of other guys on there as well. So follow that page, and of course follow the 6 Cents TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff. They're really digging into posting more content featuring their product and featuring instruction from some of the best fishermen that you could possibly find. And then every once in a while they put on a knucklehead like me to make you laugh and see how goofy I am. So, hey, thank you guys for watching as always, man. Dream life. Dream life. I'm living it. One more thing, let me plug. This was my first day in this jacket right here, and it was 38, 37, 38 degrees this morning. This is the Fish Down hoodie. Guys, this thing is super lightweight, but the warmest garment I've ever put on. I wore this in a long sleeve t-shirt in 39 degrees, 38 degrees this morning with a hard north wind, and I was fine. No problems. Unbelievable clothing product right here. I've never worn a garment that's this warm and this lightweight and this comfortable. It feels like I'm wearing nothing at all. It's very, very light. So Fish Down hoodie, that's available at 6centsfishing.com, as well as that stroker crawl, which is our bed fishing bait. It's time. Stock up on those now before they sell out. Y'all know how fishing gear is these days. Inventory can be an issue at times with the world and the state it is. Go stock up on those stroker crawls. My favorite color is watermelon red or dark melon red for bed fishing. Get those in plentiful stock right now because bed fishing is about to happen and is already starting. When you order those things from 6centsfishing.com, be sure you use the code YourLakeFortGuide. You'll save 10% on everything you order. Thank you guys so much, so very much, as always, for everything you continue to do and always have done for me. We'll see you next time, right here on Your Lake Fork Guide.